So till last time, what we had done, so I've got both the sheets open in front. So I had made you create this box, right? I made you do the formatting and all those things. Today, we are going to learn how we are going to write the code in order to work with it. So last time we said, okay, if we want to give a default value, we'll use the event of initialize. When we want to close, we want it to go to a specific sheet and close down the user form. And when we click on the cancel button again, we would like to hide the form and we would like to activate a certain sheet. Okay. To make it, like I said, to make it a little faster, I'm going to go over here. Now, what are we going to do? When you launch that particular user form, you saw there were certain text boxes that were there. So ideally, what we had to do was, when you launch it, so let's say if I'm putting certain information in my text box and picking up the list, whatever list I'm picking up, it should help me to put that data in my Excel sheet. So how do we do that? We do that using this particular set of code and this particular event called button add click. Because when you're hitting the add button, only then it should pick the values from your user form and put it in Excel. Correct? Yes?
Yes, right.
So this is to add values when you click on add button. So first thing what we are doing, we're hiding the user form. Because once the values are there, I don't need it to be up when I put the values inside. So I'm hiding it. Then we are activating the sheet. Where we want to populate this data. So this is again something that you already know. How do we do it? And then what we are doing is, I put a small code, because what was happening, let's say if this is my user form and this is the list which was getting populated. If it is completely empty, right? If there was nothing over here, no value was there to begin with, then if I don't have this set of code, it was giving me kind of an error because I was using range a1.excel down. And from a1, if I do an excel down, it kind of goes to the very end. So what I did, I inserted a small piece of code saying from a1, offset 1,0 means go to the next row. If it is empty, then go ahead and make the A2 as my active cell. Otherwise, if it's not empty, means there are values in there, then go to Excel down, offset 1,0. So what this is going to do? So this code will make A2 as active cell, correct? And this one will find, last filled cell and go one cell down. Correct? Yeah. How do you find the last filled cell? A1.excel down and then offset going one cell down and selecting that. And from there, so we will end up where? We will end up in our active cell, which is a column A2. This becomes my active cell, whether it's A2 or it's A3 or A4, depending on what values are filled. So this becomes my active cell and this is offset by 1 column, 2 column, 3 column. Okay. So all I have to do is use active cell. You already know these kind of codes. Active cell dot text name. What is text name? It is the value of your. So if you go back to object, this text box, remember we named. So I named this as text name. I named this as text email. I named this as text phone. So what we are saying is in the active cell, put the value of the text name, the text box called name, text box called email, text box called phone, and put the value in the cells. So that's what is happening over here. This is putting the values of form into Excel. Correct?
Yes.
Are we creating a flat database here? Yes. Let's not complicate at all, Gunjan. Let's keep it a little simple for now. All right. Don't want to complicate it. So your text box, how do you work with the text box is clear? What is the role of these buttons and how you're controlling this button is also clear?
Yeah.
Sorry, Shani, I was talking on mute. So these the value that you are putting over there in the box, we have to refer that specific blank field with the name that is provided in the this property
Text. Yes.
field, and the name would be the very first one, or the one that we have given
The
name.
name of the objects are these. These are the object names, the name.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing that you do in the caption is what over here in text box, you don't have captions, but in like say, for example, label, you have a caption. So what happens? What shows up on the for user forms instead of showing as label 1, label 2, label 3, when you change the caption, that becomes the caption. Right?
Okay.
For text box, so whatever name you give to these objects, this is how you can refer to them.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Next, let's work with the combo box. How do you assign a role to a combo box? How do you assign a value to a combo box, basically? So for that, and okay, before that, what else I have inserted over here? See, when I run this particular code, and let's say if I skip giving the name, so do you see what is happening? It changes the caption over here. It says can't be blank, and it makes it pink and red, and it does not allow you to move. And how do you control the movement? That also have to tell. So many things are there. So in order to control your, you know, how in a user form, when you are online, and if you want to, let's say you are in data, and let's say text to column. I need a data for text to column. Hold on. So let's say once you have something like this and you go and you press text to column, you know how we use the tab spaces, and based on the tab, it keeps on changing, right? Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, each button has an accelerator. That's one alphabet which is underlined. So how do you do this tab sequencing? Number one. Number two, how do you assign accelerators to them? Okay. So how do you do tab sequencing? So if you select this user form, on the top, you will see tab order in the view, tab order. Once you click on the tab order, sorry, not over here. I wait, tab order. Yes. So once you click in on this, you know, the entire group that we created, you will see a tab order coming up with all the fields that you have. So what I have done, I said, okay, text name. Once you click on the text, it will go to text email, then it will go to text phone number, then it goes to the combo box city, then it goes to add button, and then it goes to the cancel button. So you can move up and down and decide the order over here. Okay, how did we go to the tab order? Let me write it over here.
When you say order, you mean that the place when we click the tab.
When you click that, where it should go.
Okay.
Okay, tab order of the objects can be decided by going to view, right, and look for tab order up and down. That would be, I think, easy to understand. Then another thing is there, when you have created these buttons, right? Let's say if I created add and cancel. So if I click on the button of add, you can see A is underlined, which means if I press Alt A, this button automatically will get selected. So how did we do that? Again, if you go back to this property window, you will see there's an accelerator called A. So if I would have made this accelerator as D, now you will see D gets underlined. So that's how you assign your accelerators to your buttons. Okay, again, let me write this down. In order to assign accelerators. Go to property window of the object and write the accelerator. That's how you do it. Now, how did I put that validation thing that I was telling you? So basically, validation is what? When I'm trying to come out of the name text box and without giving a name, I want an error to pop up. So which event is this? I have used an event called exit. When will I exit? Because when I'm pressing tab from one place to another place, I'm trying to exit the first object and move to the next object. So before it exits, then a code has to run. So what I've done over here is private sub exit underscore text. So again, how do you, if I have to find this text name, on the top, you will see all the objects. You can click on text name because I'm trying to code over there. And then you pick the event that you want. So we are working on the object called text name and giving an event called exit. So when it is exiting, if the text name dot text, whatever is the value in the text name is blank, means you have not entered it, then what I've done, so again, just to recap the names that I had given, this is called a label name. This is called label email, right? This is called my text name. This is called my text email. So the same terminology has been used in the code because these are now our objects. So what we said was if the text name is dot text is equal to blank, means the person has not entered anything, then I want the text name font size to become 8. The reason I did was because can't be blank was too big and it was not showing up. Caption, initially we had given a caption of name. So I want the name of the label to change to can't be blank. Core color is your font color. Change it to red by using the RGB code, RGB red. And the back color of the text name, this is the text box, has been turned to pink. So again, to show you what is going on, when I skip it, this is my label name. This is my text name. So label name caption means whatever is was there, initially it was name, has been changed to can't be blank and the color of it has been changed to red. The text name, which is this box text box, its background color has been changed to pink. And why over here, then you will see there's something called cancel, means a person will not be able to exit it. So you see over here, cancel equal to true. It is cancelled and a person will not be able to press tab and go till this particular, what do you cleaned up. And as soon as you put a value in the name, so there's an else part, I want my label name font size to be same as the user form. So if you remember, we can address our user form in which we are writing by the keyword called me. So me.font.size, caption back to name, fore color back to the fore color of the user form, and back color back to the RBG white. So we are playing around with the labels as well as the text box at the same time and doing a validation. This is clear?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one type of validation. In, for example, in the text email, what I've said, if while exiting it's empty, then just put a message box saying enter the email ID and don't let it go. But I've not written the entire code because I hope you guys understand how it will work. Okay. So this is your validation part. Now comes your.
Johnny,
when
what
you-
was that VB critical written over there?
Oh, it's just a symbol. Remember, we used to get symbol on our message box of question mark and information. So VB critical gives that yellow triangle with an exclamation.
Okay.
It's just for look and feel.
Okay, Ishani, this cancel equals true. This is how it is written when we don't want, I mean, we don't
It to
want
go out.
cancel.
Yes. If you don't want it to exit that place, then you will put cancel equal to true.
Okay, cancel is that command button which we put in.
Cancel, no. Cancel is basically, so what is happening is, how does it know that it is exiting. There is a certain value that is stored in the cancel, and it is a Boolean type, true or false. So when the value changes, then it knows a person has exited. Okay.
Okay.
So if you make it as true, it does not exit.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Now, again, going back to make you understand what's going on over here. If you remember, I had put two lists, one for India and one for US. And depending if the person clicked on the India list, if the person clicked on India list, then in this drop down, I would get Indian cities. And if a person clicked on US, I will get a drop down of US cities, right? So on the go, we are changing the list that is there. If I had to simply assign a value to a list, the code is very straightforward and simple. And that is what your combo city, this is the name of the object again. Again, just to make you aware of it. This particular box I've named it as combo city. So to combo city, we are assigning a list. So it becomes combo city dot list. And then wherever your list is kept. So what I did was, in the source sheet, I created a list and I named one list as India. I named the other list as US. And to make sure my lists are dynamic, what I had taught you also, I think, is to convert them into table, and then I gave the name. So I converted them into a table and gave the name, so that if I have to add another city, let's say Shimla, okay, or I have to add another city over here, let's say, give me a city, let's say not LA, okay, it doesn't want me to write that. Los Angeles. Okay, so if I have changed it over here, does it affect my does it affect over here? So if I pick US, oh, I can't jump, you see, made validation so strong. So over here, now you will see Los Angeles is coming up. And if I click on India, you will see Shimla is coming up. So I first created a list, converted into table, then named it. Once I named it, in order to assign the value, all you have to do is the name of your combo box, dot list, and where is it kept, dot value. That's it. This is assigning the value to it. Okay. And combo city clear is doing what? Let's say I selected India, I selected Bangalore, but then I clicked on US. So I would want Bangalore to get removed. So that is clearing the combo box. This clears the previous selection of combo box. And this one assigns a list to combo box. Okay. And once the list has been assigned and you have made a selection, so how do you bring it to Excel now? So again, if I go back to this add button code, so over here, we have said active cell dot offset, because on the first three, we put the email, the name, the phone number, the email, the phone number, and the city, how we are picking up the name of the object, combo city dot value. So where will it pick value? Once a user has selected that value in the list, it will return that particular list over there. So if I run it, so if I give, let's say, Kanika ka@gmail.com, I've put a validation over here also. And let's say you pick a list and you have decided Chicago, right? And you click on add, automatically put the name, put the email, put the phone number, and put the city underneath it. Any questions?
Yeah, Shani, when you are filling up half the form and then you're adding it, it is adding, form is empty. So
Form is not empty. What do you mean by form is empty?
I mean incomplete.
How? I didn't pick the last part,
Yeah.
the role part.
Yes. So
See, typically, when you create a user form and you're putting all these objects on top of it, there is no inbuilt validation on it. Okay, so whether you give the information or you don't give the information, user form is not going to stop you. So if you want to put the validations, you have to code for it. All right. So I have not put validation for all. I have put validation for you to show you that how validation could be created. What are the various ways we can put a validation on top of it?
Yeah, so we need to put it till the end, right?
Ideally, yes. If you want to make sure that the user has entered everything, yes, you should. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? So this was your combo box. But this combo box that we used is only having one column. Now, I have also created a combo box which has two columns in it. Two columns as in, over here, if I go to source, that there is a role mentioned like A1 and the description is mentioned, analyst role is mentioned A2. So I want both of the values to be shown. And once a person is looking at the value, he knows what A1 or A2 or M1 or M2 is and automatically assigns that value in your list as well. So not only populates the role, but also populates the description in two different cells. Is it clear what we are trying to achieve?
Yeah.
So how did we do it? Again, first of all, we need to assign. So you created a combo box, you need to assign a value to it. How do you assign a value to it? It comes over here, combo box, role, that is there. And as soon as you enter into it, means what is happening, I'll tell you. So for example, when you click on it, and if you move from one cell to another cell, let's say I put something, I moved. So I exited. What is the event that happened over here? I exited, right? And what I've done, I've entered email ID text box. So there is an event happening. The exit event is happening for the name text box and enter event is happening for the email text box. Similarly, once I come to this portion, what I have done, I've entered the combo box of role. So as soon as a person enters into this combo box, what needs to happen has been given under this event. So again, this is an event. Okay, this is an event. I'm not writing any personal sub. This is an event. This is enter event. So as soon as someone enters it, then it should start to initialize it.
So, Isani, basically, we have to remember what is the correct event all the time, right?
Yes. And all the event list is always over here. So if you anytime forget, okay, whether it's an event or not, come back and see this place.
Understood.
Alright. And since it's a table we are trying to pick, but I don't want to pick the header. So I've used combo role dot list. Again, the same way that we assigned the previous value. Range G2 and G2 dot Excel down and dot Excel right. So it goes down, goes right. I did not use current region. The reason being my headers would also get selected, which I wanted to avoid. So kind of doing this thing in your source, that going to G2, control shift down arrow key, right arrow key. Okay, so this is what the code is doing. It's picking the entire 2 columns, or if there are 3 columns, it will pick that. Clear? Now you will see that when you create these combo box, generally, if you go to the property of a combo box and if you go down, you will see that the column count is typically 1. Means it is trying to pick only one column at a time. And it will show one column. So if I click on this as 1, and if I try to run it, right? So if I'm giving some values and I go over here and I click, can you see the second column? You can't see the second column. So even though I've selected the second column as a combo box list, it is not being shown. Why is it not being shown? Because my column count for this particular combo box is given as 1. So as many columns as you have to change this column count. Okay. Then since 2 columns information will be presented in one particular area, it might be a lot of spacing between the two. So you can also adjust the column widths. So column widths I've put 24. So if you simply put something like a 24 semicolon 24, it automatically says, okay, 24 points is the difference between them. All right. Other things that you can work with in the combo box is your drop down style. Do you want it as plain? Do you want an arrow? Do you want ellipses? Do you want reduce? How do you want it? So for example, if I put ellipses and we run this thing, so you see this ellipsis, this dot 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 thing is coming, or you want an arrow, or you want a plane. So it depends on that. Okay. And once I click on it, so now both the lists are coming up. So the style you can change, and one more thing you can change is, where is it? The list style also you can change. So list style is also plain, but if you want to give option will give the option buttons along with it. So again, to give you an idea, if I run it, and if I now click over here, see option buttons are coming. So depending on how you want it, you can play around with the couple of things. One we said is a column count number, then we said is, hold on, column count, then we're going to work with the drop down style, button style, drop button style, and then we can work with the list style also. And I have mentioned all this over here. So you can work with column, and you can work with the column widths, you can work with the button style, and you can work with the list style. All right, any questions?
Ishani, accelerators are just for add button.
Accelerators are for command buttons.
Okay.
Okay, and it can also be for checkboxes. We can have for checkboxes, for tabs, all those things we can have accelerators.
Can you just tell how it is again, that you put a value, right? For that, you change the value.
For a command button?
Yeah.
For a command button, just select the command button in the values part over here. Like over here, I'm not given any accelerator, so it's command India. The second part is accelerator. I can put I. So I will get underlined over here. Oh, these are two I's over here. So I'll give a capital I. And if I go to US, I can type in U over here, and now U is my accelerator.
Okay, so we can type it from the keyboard.
Yes, so if I run it, let's say I'm putting these values, if I go here and I want to take the US list, if I press Alt U, you saw that got selected. And now if I am in my drop down list, when I click over here, I will get US values.
Got it.
Any questions so far? So we have finished our work with the combo boxes. Combo boxes are the one where you have multiple values in a list. You can select one. So working with one column, working with multiple columns.
So Ishani, can we do it like this as well? So for example, we select India, means the India and the US, that field first, and then the city. Can we
Yeah,
do that
that's
as well?
what we are doing.
No,
So
but
again, that's a tab order, right? That's a tab order.
So I want India and US above the city.
Yes, you can. It's just how you're designing, right?
Yeah.
Basically, you're talking about the design part.
Yes.
So yes, definitely. So I can shift this. Hold on. Yeah, actually, I'll have to shift this also, right? So I'll shift it down. And I'll shift this component down, both of them together. And I can then shift it up. Yeah. This is the design. And if you want to work with the tab, then it's like the tab orders that we work with.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just be careful. Like I don't know why I tend to make a lot of duplicate objects the way I move things. Okay, now it's correct. So that's why that's another reason have the habit of giving names, because if you know the name is not appearing for the duplicate value, that duplicate objects, then you know that. And probably I can put a label also over here, pick one country kind of a thing, pick the country, just to make the user understand. All right, move on then. Any questions? If the time is left, you can experiment anything. But I was just thinking, let's just at least go through all the controls and how do you possibly work with them. The main items, at least you should be doing it. Next, let's move to the list box. So if you remember, what was a list box? List box used to be in this fashion, where it used to give us a bigger list, right? We could make a box and then over here we could select, right? Now, the best part of list box, or the main difference of list box and combo box in VBA, is that list box can allow you multiple item selection, which your combo box doesn't do. But to begin with, if I draw a list box over here, this is what a list box is, right? So if I create a list box to begin with, my selection is only going to be one. Okay, so again we have to do little bit of changes over here, like over here. You see this multi-select? So I have selected it to multiple select multi, so that I get this list gets enabled for me to select multiple items. But the one that I drew right now, and if I go down and if I look at multi-select, it still says single. So if you want to create a list box where you want to allow the person to select only one value at a time, your multi-select should be single. If you want the person to be able to select more than one, then your multi-select should be at multiple. Is this part clear?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And so I've given over here list style again. How do you want the list, and multi-select to allow the user to pick more than one value? Then you need to go and change it over here. Now, same thing I have done. As soon as the form gets initialized, what you want to do, you want to populate your list. So what we are doing, as soon as the form gets initialized, I want I want the source sheet to get activated, and then I want the list box one. And what is list box one? That's the name of my list box. This is called list box one. So this list box dot list, what does dot list do? Populates the value for it, right? And where is it? From K2 to K2 till down. So why I have used dot end? So that in future, if your list changes, it's not a static value, as in when your changes in the Excel in your sources are there, automatically these forms will also update themselves. So this, what we have done, we have initialized the value over here. Now the second thing is, once a person clicks OK or add, then whatever the user has selected in your list box, that I want to bring to Excel. Okay, so how do we bring that? Now, the way it works is, so what I have done over here is, let's say, for example, if I click over here, right? So if I press Belen and Deuce and Regal, I want all the three to be there in my Excel cell in one cell. So it depends, how do you want to do it? You want to do it in one cell, you want to do it in different cells, so coding will change. That you guys know how to do. So once you click to add cell, over here, Belen, Deuce and Regal has come. What will be the code if the user doesn't enter? So again, validation. Deepika, right now there is no validation to check @ is there or not. So if I asked you, okay, what is the validation of checking whether the person has put a right email ID or not, would be probably using @ is there, or .com or .in is there, the typical things that we have. And how will we find whether the text has it or not? We'll use a find function of text. Okay, so all these comes with your understanding of, by default, there is no validation. So whatever you enter is going to digest it. So if you want to put some validation, more coding is applied. So just to give you a thought, if I have to check whether the email is valid or not, I'll look for @, I'll look for .com, I'll look for .in. .com or .in has to be there and @ is there. If these three things are there, it's invalid. Otherwise, again, we can do the same thing, that make it red color, don't let it exit till the person has given the right value. Does it make sense?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes. Thank you.
But it has a lot of coding, the type of coding that you've already done. All right. So what I did, and this again is something that we have done in a VBA. It's not that this is going to be something new. So generally, all the counters in VBA are always set to 0. So any object that we work with, the counting of it is set to 0. So list has a number of items in it. So the first item in the list is referred to as counter of 0, and then it goes on. So I want to see which item a person has selected, and if I know this person has selected, and how do I know it's selected or not selected? It should become true, right? If it's true, it's selected. If it's not true, then it's not selected. So what we are doing, we are saying for I is equal to 1 to 0, because I said the index starts from 0, to list box 1 dot list count. So what does dot list count do? It gives the number of items in a list. So if there are 10, it will give you 10. And since our index starts from 0, I have put a -1. So all that explanation I've already put on the top. And what we are doing, we are running a for loop. So anytime the list box dot selected means if the selected item 1, 2, 3. So these are position we are playing with. So if the 0, 1 is true, then I would like to concatenate it into a variable called final. If it is false, I don't want to concatenate it. And at the end, what do I want the value to go in cell J2? Whatever is the total value left of whatever the final output is, comma, len -2. Now, why I have done this thing? Let's say if I don't put this value over here, and I simply said J2 is equal to final without any changes. I run it, I pick few, and I add to Excel. You see what has happened at the end? Since what I'm saying is whatever is the variable, ampersand, the value that has been selected, ampersand, comma, because I'm giving comma and spaces. So over here, a comma and a space is coming by default at the very end. Do I want that at the end? It looks incomplete, right? So I wanted to get rid of it. So in order to get rid of it, I use this function over here called left. So what does left do? It from the left side, it extracts till a particular position. So I said from the left on the final string, extract everything but the last two. So whatever is the len gives you the total length. -2 means remaining last two values has been, or last two characters has been discarded and the values has been given. So what are we discarding? We are basically discarding the comma and the space. And then again, unload me means closing down your user form. Pin dot silence.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I know it's very difficult to listen since all the time we had practicals. I know it's very difficult to just sit and listen and just say, yes, we agree to it, or we have understood whatever you're saying.
Do it, then when we will get the depth of all this information.
I know, but imagine I've not even come to option button or the multi-page or the tab strips.
No, I
or
understand
even
your
the
challenge,
checkbox.
Nihari.
The time is a challenge for me. So I've tried to break the information as like initially, you know how I was doing. I was trying to mix everything. Then I was like, bad idea. Nobody will be able to understand. So today what I did, I made individual user forms and tried to put all the notes as much as possible over here. Any property that I tweak, I've put on the top. So tried my best. So what you can do is, it's not that I will disappear. I'll have to come back in your life once again. So take time, work on it. If any questions arises while you're experimenting, you know, if you don't mind, they can have my email address. So you can share your queries with me and I'll try to clear it up over there. Okay.
That will be great.
Yeah,
because we will be keep searching you for queries.
I know. So don't worry. I think the email ID can be shared and then you can, tell me, okay, where you're stuck.
So is it your last class today?
For VBA, yes.
Okay.
For VBA.
So when can we see you again then?
After, I think 18 working days.
Okay.
And that's how long classes for SQL are.
I hope all the questions won't come up on you on 18th.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, continue. Yes.
Yes.
You guys don't have a choice though. Then I have also created for checkboxes. Again, if you remember, what was the purpose of checkbox? To enable the person to be able to pick more than one value. Now, kind of try to make you understand, like in Excel, I don't know how many of you remember, but sometimes, when we went and we were working with these user forms, so you see strike through, superscript, subscript comes. But if I click, let's say superscript, no, it doesn't happen over here. Where does it happen? Alignment. Okay, I think over here. So if I pick wrap text, do you see automatically shrink to fit has gone in the background? It's no more enabled, right? And if I remove this, it becomes active again. So checkboxes, one thing is that, okay, how to control the checkboxes, how to get the values from the checkboxes. And second thing was how to make one checkbox affect the other. So that's what this example is all about. So if you click on this particular form control, you see there are products called Sunset, Regal, Carlota, Yanaki, and all this is in the background. And this one is kind of disabled. If I try to click on it, nothing is going to happen. If I'm trying, which I am trying, nothing is happening. The reason being because this is dependent on these checkboxes. If none of the checkboxes is selected, automatically this won't work. Now, if I don't select any checkbox and I try to do an add, again, a validation is given that all of it becomes red. As soon as you select one of it, all of it goes back to normal color and the shift is activated and you can pick a value from it. Okay, so understood what we are trying to do over here? So
Yes.
first thing is again, drawing part. So check boxes have been drawn, shift has been drawn. For the check boxes, couple of things that you can change. Typically, the check boxes, the check part comes on the left side. So I have worked with the alignment. Okay, so the alignment has been changed. Each checkbox has been given a name. First one is checkbox Sunset, then checkbox Regal, checkbox Carlota, checkbox Yanaki, checkbox Shift. So all this has been done. Once this is done, then what do we do? So our activity is, okay, just a quick thing. Triple state. What is this triple state property in checkbox? So where is it? It's over here in the object. When you select any of it, you go at the bottom, you will see triple state and make it true. Okay, what is the effect of it? You see, when you run this code, these are all like in the background. A small check is there just to indicate to the user you need to check or uncheck this thing. So this will come if I make triple state as true. If I've made triple state as false, this will come as a empty squares. Okay, so that is what triple square is meant for. So triple square, and then you can put the value part of a triple square right below that. Again, sorry, I'm going so much back and forth. So if I pick a value over here, you have to put a triple state as true, and you have to make the value as blank. So both of them you have to do in order to get this effect over here. So that's what I've mentioned. And enabled, my spelling, enabled, PLED. Enabled true or false means whether that particular checkbox is going to be active or inactive. So these are typically the properties you're working with. So now the only thing that is happening in this checkbox is if a person is clicking on the add button, then whatever is selected, it should be sent to the Excel sheet, right? So first thing, if you remember, I have put a validation. What is a validation? Is nothing has been selected by the user. Then I want that pink color to be there. So for that, I wrote a small if function, not a small if function, long one. So if the checkbox Carlota.value is null, means no true, no false is there. It's a null value. And Regal is null, and Sunset is null, and Sunset and why have written Sunset, Carlota, Sunset, and Yanaki. If all the check boxes are null, then what it needs to do? Then it needs to change the back color of these check boxes to pink. So this much is clear. This is a validation part. If somebody has not selected any of the product, yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Ishani.
And if someone has selected, means this is false. If either one is selected, that's why I use an and statement. Because even if one is selected, that's acceptable. So if it is yes, then if checkbox Carlota is true, then I want J13 to have Carlota. If the Regal is true, then I'm saying Regal, put over there. If Sunset is true, put this. If this is true, put this. So I have not coded that if person picks more than 2 or 3, then what will happen. That again, something I have already shown you in the list box. If multiple values are there, we can concatenate and things like that. So you will again have to work with that part. Okay, I've just done. If one of them is true, if this is true, then it will work. And the second thing I've put over here is if the this is a shipped checkbox. If it is true, then write yes, shipped. If it's false, put no, otherwise keep it blank and unload. Now over here, I've written a small normal sub. This is a very normal sub. It's not an event. This is not an event. And what is the sub I've written? I've said change the back color of all the check boxes to basically the back color of the user form, me.backcolor, and enable the shipping. This is going to enable the checkbox for shipping, meaning as soon as you pick one of the check boxes, then only this enable should happen. Now, why I have written in one? Because it will again come multiple times in different events. Like there is an event called change. So if it was null value and you've clicked on it, or you clicked and then you unclicked on it, ultimately the event that is happening is change. You're changing the value of a checkbox. So if any of the checkboxes has a change, then I want the same code to run. So instead of putting these all the same set of codes again and again in 4 different places, I created a separate sub for it, and I'm calling the sub inside them. So again, this is something you guys know how to call a sub inside another sub. You just put the name of the sub. And the reason I did it, because I had to write the same code again and again 4 times. So that didn't make sense. So when you go back, when you click on it, so as soon as if you don't add anything, all goes red. If you check box 1, all goes normal color. This gets enabled. If you put yes, you click on add. For now, I've just put the value selected. Questions?
No, Ishani. I'll just take it as it is.
Used when the selection has been done in checkbox. Whether it could be okay. All right, then comes your checkbox, then comes your option button. That's a nice and sweet. I just create a nice option button of male or female, and if you select male and click on add, it should add male over here. Otherwise, if you click on female and add, it should add female over here. Simple. So again, what are the things we need to do? We are going to draw we are going to name. I've put a frame. Do you remember why we need to put a frame around option buttons?
Yes.
Why?
So that only those part will be reflected.
Mm, because
That
if
is
we
enough.
have multiple groups of
Yeah.
option buttons, then we want a group to work together.
Only
So
those
same,
part.
yeah, so same particular thing that we want a frame to be there around it. So what is the coding? Coding is fairly simple in this case because we don't have to initialize anything over here. So what are the properties I worked with? Name and caption as usual. Alignment, just like for checkbox, your option button comes over here. You can shift them. Then you can play around with the values. If value could be true or false. If you want someone to, when you open or load a particular form and you want one particular value to be already selected. For example, I go to this object and let's say male, and value is false to begin with. Let's make it true. So as a result, what will happen? Let's see. This is selected. So when I run it, by default, male will be selected. Otherwise, since both were false, nothing was selected. But to as a default value, male will be selected when the form loads up. So you can work with the value part as well. And then we have just said, okay, when you click on add, then what should happen? The list should get activated. If option male, which is the option box for male, if it's true, then I want to put the value of male in the cell, otherwise female, unload the user form. This is very fairly simple, correct?
Yes, very simple.
Very, very simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you remember yesterday when I was telling you the list of US and India, that time Gunjan had suggested instead of having buttons, why can't we put option buttons? So we could have done option buttons, and instead of having a range being assigned a value, we would have said if it's option, let's say India, then the list that you put up in combo box. So combo box dot list equal to a certain value to be put, else combo box list dot value equal to the certain. So we could replace that command buttons with option buttons. Only thing in true and false it would happen is the range is changing. All right. So that could be done over here. So since over here I had two option buttons, so I just said true. If it's true, do this, else do this. If I had three, then I'll have to do the nesting if also again. Last two parts is how to create, and this is fairly easy again, because what happens, what you have done is, let's say we created this as one message box, one user form. Now you already have seen it that if we kind of pick up a user form of Excel, so there can be multiple tabs inside it, right? So think about it that, you have designed this thing and then you put this in a tab, designed this thing, put it in a tab, designed this thing, put it in a tab. And now you are giving a control to the tab. And as and when the person is clicking on it, then the specific object on that particular tab should run. Right? So how to give or how to create these tabs? I'm going to go to, this is called multi-page. So there are two things. There is a multi-page and there is a tab strip. I'll tell you the difference between both. So this is how a multi-page works. So if I run it, this is a multi-page. So we have created a tab. So I have on one tab, I want to put label 1. On, see how tired I got creating these files, and I also wanted default. I was like option button 1, option button 2.
No issues.
So is this the tab? I have given a name, and underneath each tab you can create a design. Okay, so once you back, once I am in basic, right, when I click on the basic info, I can drop in my objects and the buttons that I need over here. Once I click on education, again I can drop in my objects and the buttons that I need over here. Once you clicked on a tab, again same thing, give proper name to your pages, give a proper caption. So all these are again given over here. What are the properties? The properties we are working is name and caption. Another property you can work with the orientation. Orientation as in this over here. Object orientation, this is coming on top. By default, it's always on the top. But if you want, where is orientation? Tab orientation, hold on. What have I selected? Page, multi-page. Okay, you have to select the multi-page because you're assigning it to the page and not to a tab. So you see over here, tab orientation. I can have it on the top. I can have it on the bottom. I can have it on the left. Depends on how you want it. So you can play around with the tab orientation. One, typically I would say let's go with the default and top. And second is the style. So it can be a tab style or it could give you a button kind of style, right? These are like working like buttons now. Or you can have none. None is, then it increases your work even further more. So multi-page. So you can also change the styles. None will just make them vanish and then you can have your own buttons to control the tabs. But why? So let's use tabs. Okay, so this is done and initialize, and when you initialize this, I'm saying multi-page one dot value equal to 0. What does it mean? Whenever you open a tab, whenever you open this particular multi-page, the first tab should always be the active tab and does not depend on how you closed it last time. So all the time the first tab should be active. So that's what multi-page one value does. Like again, give you an example from Excel. Whenever you click on this font, it always opens on font. It's not that it will open on number or alignment. It will always open on the font part, right? And how is that? Because the tab value is equal to 2 in this case. All the indexes starts from 0. So this is 0, 1, 2. So over here, someone in the backend has given the index as 2. Okay. Now the last thing is something called a tab strip. Does it resemble something that you already know? Tab strip?
Kind of filter.
Filter or the multi-page? Do you think
Yeah.
there's any difference between the tab strip and the multi-page?
It won't change. It's just the details for every person will change. There is a difference, but
Yes, that is the main difference.
yeah,
See, multi-page.
fields could be different, multi-page, and when fields are same, then
Yes. So multi-page, what happened? You can have different objects on different tabs, you know. So for example, if I want to gather a piece of information in 4 different parts, so I will create a multi-page and I can divide my information into 4 pages. But if it's the same information in all these tabs that are there, then it's called a tab strip, in which if I have to run this thing, what it is doing, it's getting the values of John. If I click on Jerry, it's getting the value of Jerry, Chin, Kim. So you're not designing or you're not creating these objects 4 times. You're just creating the object 1 time. Now, depending what the person has picked up as a tab, these values will keep on changing. Okay, but it is not going to have different objects. Only one time I had to put all these objects over here. That's it. So how do you create it? Again, insert, you use a form and you can go to view toolbox. This is a tab. This is a multi-page. So we are dropping a tab over here, right? And if I want to increase the number of tabs, then when you right click on it, it might not give. Go out, right click one more time, right click. No, this is like a miracle that happens. Come on. So one right click doesn't work. So go out, come back until you get this thing of new page, delete page. So this is how you keep on adding your tabs. Okay, now I can add my tabs. If you want to move that tab, again, that is given. Then you need to rename the tabs also from here. So you click on rename, give the name of the tab, give an accelerator key, right? Let's say I want to give a T over here and okay, so T gets highlighted. Then I want to give, again, rename. I want to give A over here. Okay, so and so forth. You can give all the names and you can give the accelerators key. Now, how do you code for it? So what we are doing is we are again saying the same thing, that the tab strip name value. Tab strip name is what? It's the name of this particular this strip that I've dropped. I have named this as tab strip name. So this when user form initializes tab strip name dot value equal to 0 means what?
The first tab.
Yes, very good. So you've understood the lingo. First tab will be active. And then all I'm doing is calling a sub called update tab. And in update tab, what I've done is, since my data is sitting in column B, so I created this tab strip data where I've put the name of these guys and their sales value target and whether the target was met or not. So I've given over here R as a range, set it in the worksheet in column B, find the tab strip name dot selected. Means whatever tab strip name you have selected, once you find that, that particular cell in column B becomes your active cell. So once you've got that cell from, not an active cell, but you've stored that in the range of R. And from there, sales is 1 offset, target is 2 offset, target met is 3 offsets. So we are putting all these value in the text box over here. And whenever the tab strips change, means you're moving from one tab to another tab. Again, it should go back to this sub and call it. All right.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's it.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, but it requires a lot of hard work to integrate pages and all those things and keep coding for it. Putting validation takes a lot of energy and time.
Okay,
right.
but then it's only showing the value, right? Or we are entering the values.
Again, if you want to put the values in an Excel cell, but these values are already in the Excel cell, so we are showing the value over here. It's more like
Okay.
reading a value from
Yeah.
somewhere, like say, and then probably you want to do a kind, think about it like when you have calculator over here, in Excel or in your, not Excel, over here when you have calculator, right? You are typing something, some values are being picked and shown over here, something like this. That's what it's doing for us. It's picking a value and showing it to us. And if I wanted to do some calculations, I could have done it and shown another value. Okay. So picking from
Can
Excel.
can this be used in dashboard?
Can this use be in the dashboard? Like the user forms, or you're talking about the tab strips specifically?
Yeah, this part of user form.
Tab strip. You can, if you want to do it in such a way that, let's say we created a button called highlights.
Yeah.
Right. And we have a tab strip for, let's say, a region. And for all the regions, it's the same information.
Yeah.
Total say from last year, this year, it has been a downfall or an up, something like that. Yes, you can. So a person can click on highlights. This window can open up. All the regions would be there. As in when you click on region, the highlight of the regions are there. Okay. So I'll upload this sheet only. I have not created a separate sheet for you guys today because I knew in order to talk and tell you so much, it was impossible that I could make you work with me. So the videos are with you, the codes are with you, I would say, and I have kind of kept the codes in the order that they are supposed to be written or used. So that should give you some bit of help. If not, then you can drop me an email and have a conversation.
Yeah. So Shani, coming back to the assessment, you're going to take on 27. So, if you can just brief again that what we'll cover in the assessment so that prepare us, because what's happening tomorrow is our process of, and I was planning to prepare, but then we cannot check our videos on the 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 company profile
Okay.
because of the audit reasons.
Okay.
So what we will cover exactly, and
So exactly, it would be having a bit of form controls, where from the form controls value that you get in Excel cell, you will have to do little bit of coding. Okay, something like, for example, um, like if a form control returns me a value of, like how these controls are also returning you a value, right? So if a value is returned like a female or a regal, then I want, let's say, data related to that to be displayed, something like that. I've not created, honestly. I am going to create it, but I am going to mix form controls, so you should know how to create a form control and how to pick a value of a form control. That has to be clear.
in form
And
of a
from,
dashboard, you want that?
not in form of a dashboard, but a user interface to be created with some bit of form control, and once you click on a button, the program should run and the desired output should be there in Excel.
The way you have given us the chart, 3 charts, right?
Correct.
I know. I hope you'll keep it simple for the
Yes,
non-programmers, keeping
absolutely,
in mind.
absolutely. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So that's it. So option 1, work in user form as well to change the base index from 0 to 1. So option 1 is just a name, right? It does not have an index over here. So if you look at come on, option code over here. So yeah, so help context ID is 0. And this ID is, no, I don't think so. There is any ID that is there, index. There's no index, tab index 0, tab index, hold on, tab index. Nothing is there with respect to, so it's just through the names that it is done. So no, index is not there, just like how we had index in, oh, you're talking about form control or user form? User form, there is no index. Okay, I always work with the names of the object, so no indexing is there. And in form controls, it starts from 1. Excel starts from 1. Backend starts from 0. All right. Any other questions that you have, Gunjan? Yes. Once I'm done with the session. So if nobody has question, you can log off. If you have questions, stay back. So Gunjan, Kshitij, sorry, not Gunjan. Kshitij, you can ask question.
Yeah,
Thank you,
sure.
Ankita. Should I stop sharing? Are you going to share something?
No. It's kind of a oral query. So
Okay.
it's work related. So we have one specific template. I'm just so that has employee IDs on the left. First column is employee ID, and then we have a separate column for like a payment dates
Okay.
on a bi-weekly basis. Okay, and there's another report we have to pull through our system, and then we have to validate that report numbers through that template reports on a bi-weekly basis.
This is
So
a template report.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have another report against which you have to match what? IDs?
Yeah, and that too has IDs and names, and this is for a specific payment date on which we are currently working. So we have to make some kind of a reconciliation sheet to match these template numbers with that particular report, which we need to pull on a on a bi-weekly basis. Every payment dates is fixed on that report part, but the template has a different column. How can I?
best would be, Satish, to create a dummy. Like
Okay.
in dummy, what I would say is just put the headers. You don't have to put any data. Say, okay, this is
Yeah.
my report number
Uh-huh.
1. These are the headers. This is my report number 2. This is my header.
And
These
this
are
is
the columns that I
output I
match up.
want.
And
Uh-huh.
this is the output that I require. Then, it will be much simpler to understand.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Right?
Right. I was thinking I can, explain it
Verbally, it's
but
impossible.
yeah.
It's impossible to let me, and at least I would not understand verbally anything like this.
Uh-huh.
So it's best is to make templates saying report 1, report 2, output. This is header, this is header, this is a process. What do you do then? Is there an
Yeah.
Excel way of doing it, or is there an automation that you want to do? Then we can discuss.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Sure, Shani.
Vinay, I want to take your permission before I do that. Can I share my email address with everyone? I think everyone has my email ID
Yes,
because
yes.
I've
I mean,
dropped
they have
email.
it. genpack@ip post.
Yes, you can drop there, or can I give my email ID? In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah,
they have,
absolutely, absolutely, you can.
because Genpack one, I don't check that frequently till
No
we
worries.
have assessment. So I'm sharing my email ID. Please, as a request, don't send anything that you and I both fall in trouble. No data should be shared. Like I said, anytime you want a help from my side, give me templates, a dummy template. Don't send me any file that would have data. If I see something, I'll send it back without helping. So give me templates and tell me the process that you want. And then probably I can help you out. All right?
Yeah. Sure, Shani. I'll do that.
Yeah.
First, I try my best to conclude whatever I can try to
So I was, this is something I was telling my daughter also yesterday. It was her assessment today. I was like, break down the information into simpler pieces to remember things. And same thing I apply at my work. If anytime any question or case study or a data or project comes, first understand the entire thing, then say, okay, forget Excel, forget VBA. Manually, if I had to do it, what would be the typical steps that I would take? That will help you to come up with a logical thought process. Once you've got that thought process, then you understand, okay, can I achieve this step by Excel? If yes, that should be the best way to do it. Or I cannot achieve by Excel. In Excel, if I can do, okay, what are the steps I'll do? If not in Excel, okay, I have to transform this entire process into VBA. Then how will I do it? But first step should always be, whenever you're dealing with any kind of problem, is to break it down into simpler thought process, simpler logical steps without thinking of any tool. Don't think about any tool when you're doing that process. Okay. And then you will see you have a better accuracy of coming to a solution. Faster solutions you will get.
Yeah.
But most of us, what we do is, let's say you've learned VBA or something, then the whole thought is around what I've learned. How do I apply that in this question? It doesn't work that way. Okay,
Yeah.
so it has to be other way around.
Okay.
Thank you, Shani. That will be a great help thinking like that way.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think I kind of follow that very strictly for my work. And yesterday I had to make my daughter, she was studying throughout the day, she could not remember anything. So I just did the thing that I told you, broke it down into chunks of information, put hyphens, as like remember bullets, don't remember the whole sentence. And
This
she's
is
like,
how I do.
"Wow." Just saying,
Exactly.
look at mama's notes, see how I read. This is how you're supposed to also do work.
Yeah. We
Break
used to
it down
study
into
like
simpler.
that. Yeah.
Yes, simpler. All right, thank you so much. So I will see you after about 3 weeks, 3 to 3.5 weeks, and we will start with Power BI, which is going to be visualization tool. But all your knowledge of Excel, I'll need it. So don't forget Excel. All your knowledge of SQL, I'll need it. So please do SQL nicely. And then we are going to mix the Excel, the SQL, the charts, the dashboarding concept, and learn the tools of Power BI and Tableau, and you will be very happy. You will be very excited. It's very fun to work on those tools. So no more coding. Little bit hardship is there, but we will, I know your group is very enthusiastic. We'll conquer that place also. All right, guys. So all the best.
Miss you, Ishani.
Same here, same here. I don't know what I'm going to do in my afternoons now.
Okay.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Ishani.
I'll see
Thank
you
you.
back then. Take
Thank
care.
you, Shani.
Thank you.
Take care, Ishani.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you,
Get
Ishani.
well soon
Thank
completely.
you. Yes. Thank you.